Good morning. This is Toad Vlogs, the morning show. And right now I'd like to talk about WCB. Now, I've made other videos about WCB before. And there's a lot of people who just do not understand what WCB is and how it works. I'm going to speak from my experiences in Alberta because I don't know all of the WCB programs that are around the world. So this is basically in Alberta how I understand the Workers' Compensation Board works. First of all, workers' compensation is not about the employees. It's an employer insurance. And what that means is it takes away your right to sue your employer if you are injured and or become ill at work. Now, there are some ways around this. I don't know the details on that, but I have heard that some people have successfully sued them, even though so I don't know the details of that. But for the most part, you cannot sue your employer if they are negligent and you are injured and or become ill because of your work. Now, the trade-off of this is because this takes away your right, it gives you a no-fault clause, which means that if you're injured at work, it doesn't matter whether it's the employer's fault or if it's your fault or if it's somebody else's fault. It doesn't matter. There's no fault looked at for the payouts. Now, there is fault looked at for, when they're doing the investigation to prevent blah, 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 blah. But for most part, if you go in there and you climb up on top of a bunch of unstable boxes and you fall and you break your leg, you are still technically covered by WCB. What WCB is not supposed to cover is people who fake injuries or get injured elsewhere and then fake that they were injured at work. That is what they call WCB fraud. The problem is that WCB program here in Alberta is being run as a for-profit company. Now, what I mean about that is that they are, as other insurance companies, denying claims that are expensive. They're fine if you cut your hand, you're going to miss a day of work or something like that. You break your foot and you're going to be a couple weeks. But let's say you've got a permanent injury. You've got degenerative disc disease, which is a back injury caused overtime at work, and they don't want to pay you. So what they will do is they will get experts to say that you didn't get hurt at work. Because degenerative disc disease takes years to develop, they'll claim that you were playing sports, you were standing wrong, you were doing this, you were doing that. And they will they deny all claims that are of a certain level. And that is a complete bunk. That is criminal act as far as I'm concerned, because it's their responsibility to cover these people, and they know they are injured at work. Sometimes injuries at work are hard to prove. It's environmental injuries. If your employer has, a shop workplace that is problem with moisture and you've got mildew and you get black mold and you get sick from that, how do you prove it was your employer? So there are situations. Another one is ear damage. How do you prove that you lost your hearing or part of your hearing from your job? Because it takes time for that to happen. If you're in a job that's over so many decibels, you will slowly go deaf. And you won't even know it until it's too late. You won't even realize it. You'll just think it's old age or whatever. But yeah, you can slowly go deaf at work. And WCB is supposed to cover this. Now, so that's the basics on how WCB is supposed to work. The problem is with them declining, and they decline about 1% of claims. Now in Alberta, there are hundreds of thousands of claims every year. So 1%, we're still talking about a hell of a lot of claims. And they're all the serious claims that they're going after. Now, there are certain people who are cheats, and you know what? They should investigate them, and they should catch them and do what they have to do. But don't use that as a premise for denying people you just don't want to pay. Here in Alberta, there are billions of dollars of surplus from WCB. At the same time, the Alberta Health is got a shortfall. This is a different problem. What happens in this situation is a lot of people don't want to go on WCB because they're afraid they'll get their employer upset with them. So they will go and claim that they were hurt. Or they won't even say whether they're hurt. They just go to their doctor. And Alberta Health pays for this instead of the WCB program that's supposed to pay for this. Then that's part of what makes Alberta Health expensive than it should be. Now, that being said, Alberta Health is in no way, shape, or form in any trouble. The government would like to claim that because it's a large part of their budget, and they would like to defer it to public. But private. They want to make the Alberta Health private, but no, that's not what's wrong with Alberta Health. Yeah, so don't do that. If you're an employer, if you're injured at work, make sure you tell your doctor it's WCB. Get the WCB program to pay for it because that's their job. Now, there are other employers who try to coerce their employees into not claiming WCB, and some of them will even go as far as to pay them. That is actually a criminal act in Alberta. I don't know about other states and countries and provinces, but in Alberta, it is actually criminal to it's fraud. Yes, it is fraud. So if that's happening, you need to contact not only WCB, but probably the Labor Board as well, because that should not be happening. Your employer should not be trying to discourage you from going on WCB. You should not be fired because you went on WCB. Although if that happens, and that's a hell of a lot harder to prove. So yeah, WCB. In a nutshell. I'll probably make another video sometime about more details about WCB and the problems. Thank you very much. This video is a little bit long, but thank you for staying in there.